Today I'm going to walk you through the steps to install a GrassFlap on a Scag SFC 30-inch. To get started, we're going to take the flap unit out of the box, and the first thing we have to do is move the spring mount up so that it'll step in the correct position when we put it onto the mower. So we're going to remove the 5/16 bolt from the bracket and start that back on and just loosely snug it up on here. Then we're going to take the GrassFlap and set it up onto the mower deck itself. There's a couple of existing slots there on the deck, and those bolts will fit into that. There's a strap underneath there that'll go under the notches themselves. Take a wrench and go ahead and tighten these two bolts up, snug it down securely to the mower deck. Okay, now that we've got this secured to the deck, the next thing we want to do is go ahead and tighten up that spring mount itself. So we'll raise it up about a 1/4 of an inch above the rib so that there's clearance when we connect the spring. Go ahead and tighten that bolt up. Then go ahead and take the spring and connect it to the spring bolt so that that's locked in position there. Once this is done, then we're going to move over to installing the handle itself. So to do this, we're going to remove the existing bolts on the handle area up here on the top. So on the left-hand side, go ahead and remove these 7/16 nuts. Once those are out of the way, then we're going to go ahead and get the hand lever itself and install it. So we'll use the existing bolts from the mower itself. They'll pull out, and then slip them into these square slots shown here on the hand lever. Once we get them in position, then we have to put 2 washers on each bolt to space the hand lever off the mower itself. Once those washers are in place, we'll go ahead and slip the bolts back into those holes. Then we'll go ahead and install the nuts that we took off. We'll put those right back on, secure them down, and we'll have the handle locked to the mower itself. Now before I show you how to actually connect the cable, I'm going to show you how it runs on the mower itself. So coming from the handle, down the bar for the handle itself, the lawnmower handle, around the inside of this frame, and then across to the GrassFlap is where it's going to end up when we're all done. So the first thing we're going to do then is connect the hand lever in. We'll remove the rubber boot and nut number 1 from the fitting itself. Then we'll go ahead and take nut number 2 and run that all the way down onto the fitting, and then run it back up maybe a turn or 2, and then we'll go ahead and insert that cable into the slot, fitting into the hole, and put jam nut number 1 back on, run that down. We'll push the rubber boot back on. If you ever want to change the position of the flap in the open position, you can do it by readjusting those jam nuts. So next step here, we're going to go ahead and connect the cable itself to the hand lever. So we're going to put the fitting on, and we're going to go ahead and put the pin in. And notice that the slot on the clevis itself is toward the inside. The head of the pin is toward the inside. And I found it easier to use a pair of needle nose pliers to get that pin started in. We'll go ahead and slip the cotter pin in. Again, we'll grab hold of that cotter pin with the needle nose pliers, and then go ahead and bend those ends open, split the cotter pin and bend it both directions. Now with the hand lever end done, we're going to move down to the flap end. So the same process, remove the rubber boot, spin jam nut number 1 all the way off the fitting itself. Now we're going to do this end a little different. We're going to spin the nut to just about halfway, so that when we put jam nut number 1 back on the fitting and run it on, there's basically just enough room to get the rubber boot onto the fitting. So again, this is opposite of the way we did it on the hand the handle end. Slide the rubber boot back on, and we'll go ahead and connect the clevis. And note that this is the clevis that's attached to the cable, so it's the fixed clevis. Step one is we're going to put this little bronze bushing into the hole. Then we're going to go ahead and put the clevis on and then insert the pin. And a little caution here, be sure you install the pin so the head of the pin is on the same side as the spring. If you don't, then you can end up with the cotter pin coming out down the road and the pin falling out. So once you get it in place, then we're going to split the cotter pin again, bend both tabs over. So then the final step is to go ahead and tighten the jam nuts on the cable fitting itself. And we'll do the same thing up on the flap end once you've determined where you want to have the flap partial position set. So to operate the GrassFlap on this mower, what we're going to do is it's a pull and release. So if I just pull straight back, it's going to go halfway. So I've got to actually flip it over. So from the closed position, then I can pull it and flip it open, or I can pull it back and put the handle into this notched position. And what it'll do is put that flap in a partial open position by holding it in that notch. And I can change the position of that partial open by adjusting down here the jam nuts where this fitting is attached on. So if I spin this nut back some and then put it in the slot, you'll see it's in a more closed position. So by adjusting the position of these jam nuts, you can change that partial open position. Once we get it where we want it, then it's a simple matter of locking everything in place. You're good to go.